Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Live from Caymanas Park, where we are having a live discussion, raw, undiluted discussion with what's going on at Caymanas Park. We chose this format. I'm not a professional broadcaster. My name is Solomon Sharp. I'm just the chairman. I'm trying to get things moving at the track. And with me this afternoon, I have Christopher Berry, a director of Supreme Ventures Racing and Entertainment. So let me just start, before I introduce Mr. Berry to speak, to say that I've been the chairman since January 2019. Everybody always knows that horse racing industry globally has been undergoing a lot of changes and a tough time. No different to Caymanas Park, and we've been trying our best to keep things afloat, keep things moving. So it's always been a tough job for me because I'm solely dependent on how good, bad, or indifferent Supreme Ventures is doing to know how much money I have or I don't have to move the product forward. Tracks globally are finding it tough right now to stay afloat. We reduced the losses last year in 2019, but reduction of losses is not necessarily a win for me, so I consider myself still a loser. But we started 2020 very encouraging, where we have had 12 race days compared to 13 race days after February. We had put on $100 million more of revenue. We were getting ready to look like we were going to become a profitable business to kind of revamp and reshape. We have always been working, well, I should say, since I've been on board, I've always been working on a master plan to kind of revamp, where I would have a serious conversation with the government, who is our landlord. We pay rent to the government every year. And the horsemen to say, hey, we have to revisit the way this product is set up. We had an online base that we grew from less than 10% when I joined to just over 11 or 12%, just over 10% in revenues. Everybody been comparing us to North America, where they're on an online platform at 90%. So we have brick and mortar, but the OTBs have been good to us all along. They kept us going. So this COVID thing, nobody expected it, and it has blown every gain out the door and has everybody wanting to kill us. As a chairman, I thought that, we were going to get over this pandemic in short order. The government had everything under control. They kept things moving. And then, bam, St. Catherine, where our plant existed, was shut down, and everything seemed to kind of just go out of whack. So we're left with a situation where we have a cash burn, Mr. Berry. Unfortunately, we have about $37 million a month. We tried our best recently to cut it down, of which I'll probably get a beating for. But I am getting a beating right now because it's not suitable to the horsemen and the horses to not have the track available every day at everybody's, we want fancy. And so we're here this afternoon to just have a real live, honest conversation. And Mr. Berry has been a director for SVL for about 3 years now. So he knows a lot more about what has been going on, how he has been fighting every day with the finances and to keep this thing afloat. So with all that said, Mr. Berry.
Yes, so Solomon, thanks for inviting me here today. So who am I really? I'm chairman of Mayberry Investments, and we own 10% of Supreme Ventures Limited, which is a promoter for horse racing in Jamaica. And we became involved in this business in 2017 when we became a 10% holder of Supreme Ventures. And even before becoming Ventures, we were smaller shareholders of SVL. So we were concerned about the acquisition of Caymanas from the very beginning. And we used to have discussions with Mr. Paul Ho about how it was going to work and how it was going to fit in. And he basically told us as shareholders that he was going to be just operating the track and that it would be a net positive addition to the SVL bottom line. But when, and lo and behold, when I got to SVL, nothing could be further from the truth. You know, the track was a money-losing business when I got there in 2017, and to this day, it's still losing money. But as a director of the company, what did I do? I asked that the promoting company develop a master plan so that we could, rather than just put in money to support losses, reshape the whole product so that the product would be profitable for the owners, the trainers, you know, the jockeys, grooms, all the stakeholders. Racing is, I'm told, I'm not a racing expert, that racing is 300 years history in Jamaica. And we at SVL are totally 100% committed to ensuring in Jamaica. So from 2017, we have been reaching out to various stakeholders to help us to develop this plan to fix Caymanas. And so far we have done a lot of things. You know, our agreement with the government requires us to spend about 500 million over 3 years. We're way over 1.5 billion. And I know there's a lot of people who are involved in racing who are creating this to say that SVL is not committed to racing. But if you're not committed to something, why do you go and spend more than you have to? So we have been totally committed to it. We have been improving the product with your help as a chairman. In fact, what Jamaica doesn't know is that Solomon Sharp was actually, since I've been at SVL, the first chairman who actually put a plan to the board to a long-term solution, right, Solomon, for the track. And, you know, I give him ratings for that because other people were tasked with it before and they were unable to deliver, but Solomon has his ideas. And we're moving in the right direction. Along came COVID, and racing, we tried to keep it open. We tried spectatorless racing, and the losses jumped up to $80 million a month. So 812 is 96, that's $1 billion a year. Obviously, totally unsustainable. And what a lot of people are not talking about is, if you know anything about horse racing, you know there's a big difference between a horse racing track and a training track. So what has happened in North America is when the racing tracks closed, the horse owners had to remove their horses and send them to the farms and exercise them on the farms. Now, they don't call horse racing the sport of kings as a joke. And the reason why they call it the sport of kings, and I and all the audience are sleeping, horses are burning up money. They continuously eat, they require a lot of attention, they are delicate animals. And so what Solomon recommended to the board is we do racing, but the horses need to exercise and so forth. So the track has not been closed. A lot of people out there are saying that. Nothing is further from the truth. You know, we could have adopted the more harsh stance like what they do in other countries. Tell all the owners, take the horses and carry them to the farms. They are not our horses. We don't own any of these horses. They're owned by horses. And Solomon owns horses, so he knows. So there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of fake news. You know, and today's show is kind of like a testament to that, because there are a lot of people invited to be live here to discuss this with us. And none of them have shown up because their fake news cannot stand the light of day. And so we're here now. We're going to hopefully be getting in some questions from people who are going to call in, and we're going to address them the best we can and tell you guys what's really happening. Solomon, back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. So one of the things when I deal with the board of SVL, I've always been a very honest businessman, and I took a different approach to Caymanas Park because everybody was looking on Caymanas Park as a 60-year-old business because the track is 60 years old. However, here came the government saying that, hey, we can't manage this loss. It wasn't good for the IMF. You know, the government was encouraged to get rid of certain assets. You know, we would have seen bauxite, would have seen sugar and all that kind of thing. And horse racing was a whole different thing. My approach was not to look on it as a 60-year-old product, because the real truth is, in March 2017, a new company came to bear. Unfortunately, I think when I look behind closed doors and being an owner and a trainer, breeder, and having seen what was going on, I saw where, a new promoter came in, there was an injection of cash added to the purse, but was it sustainable? So what we wanted to do was revamp the model, and I tried to just separate it, and I asked for 3 months. And unfortunately, the losses racked up in the 3 months. The first 3 months I was there, about $100 million last year. So I had to fix that. So what I did, I broke it down just like the businesses that I have started. So I've had one job. I worked at Dedo and Geddes. I learned a lot there. Awesome institution. They used to be a big sponsor of racing. But with all my businesses that I started, it all started from scratch. So I broke Caymanas Park down as my own business from scratch and said, what would I do? And you know, when I am going to the money man, how do I go to the money man? So we made some changes, we made some tweaks, and the financial people have said, hey, everything was going in the right direction. And again, here's COVID. So we didn't back down on the board. We demanded what we wanted, but as we said, unfortunately, me and Mr. Berry fight every day when he tell me about the training track, because that's not how it works in Jamaica. But we keep hearing about what works in North America. You know, the tracks are open, but we are not open. But hey, COVID is real. We still have a curfew in island-wide curfew. We still have a curfew going on in St. Catherine, and you know, we just came out, and you know, unfortunately, racing fans are very passionate and want things overnight, you know. Unfortunately, we won't get it overnight. We won't get the horses fit overnight, but I don't know when the date is. I'm told that I'm not providing hope. I never came into this thing giving hope. I saw something. Horse racing can be beneficial and profitable. Persons were saying that there are 4,000 persons directly on the plant and 40,000 people in the surroundings. Well, there are actually 100,000 people in the surroundings, because it goes as far as Spanish Town, all the horse farms and everything. And horse racing is probably the only sport in Jamaica that touches the length and breadth. and every part of Jamaica. And I like to talk about the horse racing ecosystem and the far-reaching effects. So, as long as I'm the chairman, I will fight with this man or anybody else any day to keep it open. I wasn't backing down. I was trying to back off a little bit to say, hey, how can we back off a little bit, reprogram, just like how you reprogram a racehorse, and come back again. But we need money. When we restart this thing, where are we going to get the money from? We had some conversations with the government as another key stakeholder in the matter. They're still our landlords. The property is still owned. Supreme Ventures did not buy Caymanas Park property. We do not own the property. We don't have any assets. We don't own anything to go off of. We pay rent. We pay the land tax. It's a big burden on us as a startup business.
So I have a question coming in from one of the callers.
Oh, what's the question, Mr. Berry?
So the question is, what's required for the track to reopen? So that's a great question. So many of the people at the track are being misinformed by people who know better. They are saying SVL locked the track. The truth is that COVID came, and with COVID comes a number of regulations which don't allow the track to be open. So unlike North America, most of our betting is based on people physically walking up to a window and buying a ticket.
115 live OTBs.
15 live OTBs. And what percentage of the sales takes place at the track?
So you have 20% of the sales on track. That's when you have a live day, all right? You have 10% that is on the mobile platform. And you have the next 70% that have been with the OTBs.
Okay.
And these OTBs have been with us from we started.
Right.
60-something of them that came with the legacy OTBs. And we have added another 60-something. And that is how we have been able to keep the track moving, cash flow positive, even though we're at a loss.
So Solomon just answered that question. And basically, 20% of the sales of the tickets take place at the track and 70% on the OTBs. So once the regulations allow the track and the OTBs to reopen, SVL is ready to open the track. And that is how it goes. We didn't close the track. COVID came, closed the track. But we are ready to reopen as soon as it's physically possible. So I just wanted to clear the air on that. A lot of people are saying we closed the track, but we didn't close any track. COVID closed the track.
Mr. Berry, I wouldn't have allowed you to close the track because of the momentum that we were going on and how exciting the horsemen and the punters, the numbers were showing that the horsemen were not satisfied with what was going on, as they have always said. But, they saw where things were coming, and I told them that, hey, we're getting there, and you can come and kill me anytime soon for a price increase. But, hey, here comes COVID and, the great destroyer. So I have a question here. It says, it appears that the lease payment arrangement is somewhat burdensome to SVRail and limits their capacity to undertake much needed improvements to the product. Does the PMC's proposal meet to SVRail's satisfaction? If not, what specific SVRail needs were not addressed?
Can I take that one, Solomon?
Sure.
Yeah, so the PMC's purpose is to monitor the agreement between SVL and the government. So the PMC doesn't really have a lot of leeway in terms of the contract. And our reaching out to the PMC is just one of several outreaches that we made. And most of the outreaches that we made are basically for the benefit of the industry. So, if the PMC chooses to reduce the lease, then we will put that money directly into horse racing. If they don't choose to reduce the lease, we sign to it and we will pay the PMC what we agree to pay them. It's no issue for SVL to draw the check that we contract to draw. So people need to get the thing in context. So everything we have asked for is for the benefit of the industry. Don't think it's proper form to go and discuss the details of what we discussed with the PMC. The PMC is operating in good faith and trying to do their best to help the industry. Some people choose to take these documents and put them in the public domain. I don't know why they do that. But basically, since we're talking about something which is now in the public domain, the letter from the PMC does not provide any benefit at all to either SVL or the industry that can be used at this time. There has been no modification to the arrangement and no support from the PMC which could benefit either SVL or the horsemen or the industry. These are the facts. Those who want to read can read. People have put it out there in the public domain. I would have preferred if that was not done, but it has been done, and it was not by me, so I just have to live with that. Over to you, Solomon.
I have another question. The release that was sent out, read the scaling down of training, will that be still in effect, or has that changed after the PMC meeting? So the first thing I'll address, the PMC had a meeting. We were not invited or present at any such meeting. After the meeting on Monday, all right, we gathered there was a meeting on Monday. We got a letter from them yesterday. Today is Wednesday. I'm losing track of days. And much to my surprise, I woke up to messages this morning that it was in the media. I thought it was somewhat of a private document, and we only shared it because we have had extensive conversations behind the scenes with every group that represents the owners, the trainers, the breeders, the jockeys, the grooms, etc. And we have been trying our best to keep them updated on some of the things that we are facing as a business. The cash burn that we have been facing, we recognize that as horsemen, they are facing a cash burn. I'm a horseman, so I am facing the same cash burn. So I know what it is, We keep these horses moving. So I will still have to go back to Supreme's board tomorrow to see if I can get any more leeway, because it takes cash. Under the agreement, we cannot just keep the racetrack open willy-nilly. When these horses go on the track has to be properly prepared, or you'll have injuries. You have to provide an ambulance. You have to provide a doctor. So there are certain things that must be provided. So people keep looking on and like, oh, but it not cost no money for the two-man jump on the tractor and go drive around the tractor, man. Well, it costs a little bit money to put some diesel in the tractor, and then it costs some. We have a hefty GPS bill. So when you're at the track and you run a 200-acre property, I'm not sure if anybody understands that. This is a 200-acre plant. So for anybody out there who understands a 200-acre plant that you have to provide electricity for, you have water that you get from a well, that is constant electricity right there because the well is constantly pumping. It takes thousands of gallons of water every day just to satisfy the needs. Horses must get water all day. Unless they're racing, that's when the only time you kind of regulate their water. Horses have to have a bath. They get a bath every day. So when you have a plant with 1,100 horses, 200 acres, not to mention the amount of water that needs to go on the racetrack every day. So these water trucks, and they're old water trucks that we inherited from the previous establishment. We bought, well, we didn't really buy one new truck. We have a loan on one new truck, and we're trying to get more, and trying to do all the necessary things that were necessary for the hardcore product of racing to happen. You know, people are criticizing why the tote board not working. It didn't affect the tote system, but it cost $70 million to put up a tote board. People are criticizing that we haven't put up an elevator. Well, I'm sorry, if the racing public needs me to put up an elevator, I prefer to resign. But can you imagine that we have racing right now without spectators, and we have a $70 million elevator, an elevator shaft, and everything sitting there not being used? That would be a dereliction of my duties as a chairman to spend money into something that does not generate revenue for the product. So what we did, we made some hardcore decisions, and we got the racing product going. We created some incentives earlier this year. It was not to my liking, but it was to my budget. So in terms of keeping the racetrack open, it's to my budget. I'd have to go back to the SVL board, and it's not just up to Mr. Berry. There are 14 other board members, and he has to answer to a chairman. So we will continue to work for the horsemen as long as I'm here, and keep fighting for this thing to happen. I have some more questions coming in. I think I have a part 2 of that question. I have to pay more to resurface the track after the scaling down of the operation. We won't have any issues to resurface any track. We're not going to abandon the racetrack. We never said we were abandoning the racetrack. We said we're scaling down. So there's a maintenance protocol that we have, which will stop the sand from blowing away. I know there's some talk behind the scenes that when the racetrack is not monitored or managed or maintained, they're not going to spend $1. Ladies and gentlemen, if the racetrack never had a horse on it, right, and we turn off the electricity, it costs $15 million just to manage that plant. Okay? Okay, you still have to manage, you still have to maintain some staff, kept on the critical staff, and we've been maintaining the racetrack. The racetrack will be in tip-top condition when it needs to be in tip-top condition. You don't worry about that. And one last question I'm going to allow you. As an owner, do you share the concerns that horses will die based on the scale down? Even when the track is in full operation, which it has been, we only closed the track recently for 1 day. And that 1 day, most horses do get a day off. As an owner, I'm very scared. And Mr. Berry can, with fear in my eyes, hey, please, this is the plight of the horsemen, right? However, as a horseman, I've had to manage crisis before. We have had hurricanes and things before where the racetrack was not operational and you're out for a week, and so there are other things that you can do.
So Solomon, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
As not being a turf fight like you, but
yes,
when a horse is training, they just train like that, or they train for a specific race that they plan to enter?
So you have different horses in different categories. And so for example...
No, I'm talking about a race horse that is on the track for the purpose of racing.
Technically, all of them are race horses, right?
When you enter the horse in a race,
yes,
do you train the horse the same way whether the horse is going to go into a race?
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. So sometimes you have a horse that you put on a layout because he has had a hard campaign. So he would have run any.
So know that there is no races scheduled.
Yes.
It's the same kind of training as normal.
Different trainers take different approaches. There are some trainers at the track that probably are maybe as optimistic as I were that COVID would have blown off in a month. So they kept horses going full flight in full gallop. Other trainers have backed off their horses on the smaller rings, and then there's an exercise ring that exists there that some trainers would have sent their horses on.
So what happens if racing don't start back for 3 months? You just keep training the horse like you expect him to race? Are you going, how does that work?
Again, it depends on the trainer. So some trainers like to keep their horse on a certain kind of edge of maintenance. There are some trainers that will trot. There are some trainers that will walk. There are some trainers that believe in a canter, a gallop, all different things. So you're going to get me in trouble now because I'm not a big trainer like these guys that have a big barn, eh? And we take a different approach, and we kind of tend to keep them longer because we take a more patient approach. So different people take on a different approach. I have somebody that has a very controversial question. Close the track, or you, Salah, said you close the track to protect the image of SVL. That is my question.
Your track is not closed, Salah. What am I talking about? Am I an idiot?
No. The track, that question.
The track is not closed.
Yeah, but when everybody keeps referring to the track is closed, they want
racing is closed.
Racing.
But we didn't close racing.
We have 70 OT. We have 100.
They are not open.
No,
OTBs
no,
are not open
no, I'm just
now.
saying the day in
They are
question.
closed.
The day in question, they had a limit of 20 persons. At that time, we never even understood social distancing. The Monday after that, the Prime Minister put in that we must only have 10 persons in certain kind of locations. He closed down bars. Several of our OTBs are bar owners. That was finding it very difficult to operate. We had 3 persons from our OTB that we had to beg and plead with the police not to lock up because they were carted off in a police car. And when they were ready to be processed, after good reasoning, the policeman decided to release them. We had another OTB that called us screaming, please don't turn off our monitors because they were a big padlock. COVID was real. We had to fight with the JRC. On the Thursday in question, I think it was the 12th, Thursday the 12th, we got a letter from the JRC stating that racing must be closed indefinitely over an abundance of caution because of this COVID thing that was coming to Jamaica. We said, based on reading all the COVID protocols and what was going on in North America, as a matter of fact, when we ran that Tuesday, our protocols were better than go for 2 days of racing and took up back some of our protocols and then took it to our next level and kept it on the backstretch. We have managed the backstretch very well. The grooms have said to us that, hey, we feel very safe here. We always were told that there might have been a cell in St. Catherine. So we wanted to keep the horsemen, owner, trainer, jockey, coming to our plant very safe. So after that Saturday, it was very scary because I wouldn't have liked to have heard that it was my sister or mother or anybody that was being carted off in a police car for operating an OTB to do their business. Heard after that the OTB had a pretty big crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not fool ourselves. We have a very passionate set of fans that follow racing. So when people tell me that you must put lines and all that kind of thing, when you see a post time and you know that is a minute to post time, monitor or no monitor, these guys have their smartphones and on our website is very visible. They want to get in that line and they want to get that bet. Because if you make me don't win my money and get closed out at the window, it's big war, and I've seen it happen before. You have any other questions over there, Mr. Berry?
No, I have no questions. Nobody's asking questions.
All right, so one more question. What protocols are in place by the OTBs to accept punters given social distancing? So, to answer this caller,
OTBs are not able to open right now. They are places of recreation and they are under the order. They cannot open.
right, but
So they can't open. So you don't need a protocol for something that can't open. Can't open. The government don't allow them to open, just like all other places of recreation. And let's get it clear, I am not blaming the government for anything. The government is trying to protect the people from COVID. And we have to work with the government.
any more questions? You guys have any questions coming in? Come on, guys, you can have more questions. Oh, I expect it to be inundated.
Yeah, so no more questions?
I see a question here. Why this meeting online wasn't after SVL sent their statement from the PIC letter? I think you mean PMC letter. I don't understand
So Solo,
what the question is here.
let me say something else about this meeting. So one of the reasons we decided to have this meeting is to kill a lot of the fake news. So we invited several people to attend. I personally invited Gordon Robinson. He has declined. He never want to come. I invite Da Costa. He never want to come. And I invited other people as well. And they didn't want to come. Because there's a lot of fake news out there, as I'm telling you guys. There are people who telling you a lot of garbage that's not based on reality. But here it is, they have an opportunity to come and throw the question and throw the lick. And they are nowhere to be found. And one thing I can promise you, as long as SVL is able to, we will continue drawing the checks. We're gone over 1.5 billion now, and we're not stopping, because we are 100% behind Solomon Sharp and his team at the track. So don't worry. When COVID open up and we can open back the track will be open. Don't listen to the fake news. This is real stuff from one of the directors of SVL. We will open racing as soon as it's possible.
A question says, if COVID stays with us for the rest of 2020, what will you need to allow racing to coexist with the new reality? Cash flow injections, allowable patrons per space, tax breaks, etc.
I don't know the answer to that question. Do you?
That's a very tough question to answer, because that's a lot of ifs right there. But I mean, even with COVID present, right, that first weekend, we tried to keep it open.
Let's not go back there. That's history. I think that
But we don't know the government protocols and all
No,
of
we
these
don't.
things.
But I mean, nowhere can remain closed forever. You know, I mean, just look at what's happening in the economy with tourism. Is that going to be closed forever? I don't think so. You know, kids have to go back to school. The Prime Minister just said by September, kids will be back in school. If kids are back in school, racing will definitely be on. So right now, that's the best indication of what we can see. We know kids are going to be back in school by September. So we know we're going to have racing definitely by September. I personally don't think it's going to be that long before things open back up. Do you?
I can't wait for things to open back up.
There you go.
I have businesses to run, I have races to run. A gentleman is asking me why Mr. Darby was not invited. Please don't take it personal, Mr. Darby. You have spent a lot of time in the media. We have asked other persons from the training ranks that I think people really wanted to hear from. And unfortunately, I don't think they were available to attend. The PM says he will revisit the decision to close bars, gaming lounges, etc. Should he reverse that decision, will a decision to restart racing be taken then?
Absolutely. We are ready and rearing to go.
Once the track is open, what parts of the season will be saved? For example, the classics, the 2-year was the Super Stakes. And there's a bad word here that says the Diamond Mile. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, there will be no Diamond Mile this year, or I don't know, because
Ever again.
the BJLC says
Clovis Metcalf canceled the Diamond Mile.
the BJLC canceled the Diamond Mile, so there will be no Diamond Mile. In terms of the rest of the classics, it all depends on when we get started, and we will have to have dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had several meetings with the horsemen behind the scenes, right? Several. So we have a provisional, we've been doing a lot of work in this time off. This business is about money, this business is about handle. So we've been looking at what are the races that generate the right handle to pay the purses. So we've been looking at all of this. And in moving forward, we will be meeting with the horsemen to say, hey, what kind of season are we really going to have? You know, is racing going to be September? I don't know.
I want to take a question on MBET before we close. So.
Go ahead, sir.
So, in 2017, when we joined SVL board, we asked the management, you know, where they see the holes in the business and where they want the board to support them. And one of the first things they spoke about was the ability to do, you know, bets from a mobile phone, online betting, this kind of stuff. So we have MBET. And so there was one released. We had several partners. We rolled it out. And we know it's not what it should be. And we have made further investments. And soon there will be new releases which will have greater functionality and make it easier for punters to use MBET. So better is coming as far as MBET is concerned. But the reality of the thing is like 70% of our betting is coming through OTBs and 20% from the track. That's 90. So with the best MBET in the world, MBET cannot replace what our punters want. And our punters want to go into them OTB, or they want to come to the track and have fun. You know, horse racing is not just about betting, right? My old man was a great better on horses, and you know, I used to have a lot of fun doing it, and I used to watch him and thing. And it's not just about placing a bet on a phone. Some people like that, and we're going to facilitate that the best we can. Thank you, Salah.
Yeah, my kids keep riding me in the living room because when they hear me say, me watching races and say, move us jockey, you know. For some of you who don't know, I came to Caymanas Park to be a jockey. It didn't work out. So,
that must have been a long time ago, Salah.
yeah.
I can't imagine you being a jockey. That must have been a different Salah from the one I know.
Many plates ago. So somebody here is saying about MBET and have we applied to the BJLC to relax KYC, which is know your customer, AML restrictions.
We covered that already. MBET is going to be bigger and better. Don't worry
I look
about
on a big
it.
one
We're
the other
working
day
on
and
it.
say, you have MBET? Him say, no, sir, too much question me have to answer.
No, we're working on it. It's going to be bigger and better.
To this message from one of the trainers, thank you. He has volunteered to drive the tractor. I'll take you up on that one day. Don't want to sound facetious, but why didn't SVR seek sponsorship for the Diamond Mile. We can't seek sponsorship from a product that we don't own. That product is properly owned, licensed, registered by the BJLC. So if the BJLC said that they're not running the Diamond Mile, we can't just take their product and go and seek sponsorship and run it. And, you know, 'cause there's a lot of legal ramifications. We had lots of other things in the pipeline
And
to
Salo,
make racing
Salo.
really exciting. Oh my God.
One thing I want to say about which a lot of you guys have probably forgotten. The Diamond Mile was the brainchild of Gary Peart when he was chairman of the BJLC. A lot of people out there saying that Gary is not for horse racing. This is crap. Gary was the man who came up with the idea of the Diamond Mile, and I have never met anybody in the racing fraternity who has ever had anything bad to say about the Diamond Mile. And Gary is now the chairman of Supreme Ventures. So my fellow turfites, horsemen, anybody who love horse racing, you're in good hands with Gary Peart.
Will SVL partner with the government of Jamaica to address the current impasse with the BJLC? I don't know what impasse that we have with the BJLC. Maybe we need to get Mr. Metcalf to say what.
We don't have any impasse with the
there's
BJLC.
no,
There's
absolutely no impasses there. Given that simulcast brings in much revenue, of which there is now none, how will Israel make up for that gap in the budget? As we said, COVID has not allowed us to operate through our main distribution system, which is the OTBs, which is us facts, right? As soon as COVID gives us a chance, and the powers that be who run our country give us that chance, we'll be ready to open up. But we can't put people's lives at risk and defy public orders and all of these kind of things. So if COVID saves us for 2020, what will need to allow for racing to coexist with the new reality cash flow injections allowed by patrons? Well, we answered all of that before. We're very much committed to racing, ladies and gentlemen. Very much committed to racing. All right? Chris Berry don't hold back, him don't hide no punches, and he has come and said to you, but he has had me on a little budget cut. Hopefully I can negotiate a little bit of leeway.
Well, Salo, it's not about a budget cut. It's like this. We have a 37 million cash burn with no racing. So the idea of the SVL board is we're going to save some of that money. And when racing is allowed, when this COVID thing settle off, we will have more money to invest in racing again. Racing is not exercising horses. Racing is a sport where you have spectators, horses, betting all over from every length and breadth of Jamaica. That's what we have invested in, and that's what we're going to continue invested in, racing, keeping the tradition alive.
I'm going to have to fight today, though, because the horsemen are going to say I didn't represent them well because the horsemen have exercise and it's a one track that we have and it's only stables we have. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to fight with Mr. Berry, right? Allow me to have that fight behind the scenes. But Mr. Berry is committed to racing. SVL is committed to racing. SVREL is committed to racing. Solomon Sharp, your chairman, is not just committed to racing, but successful racing. We had a plethora of betting, new bets, all kind of big jackpots, all kind of different things that were about to come on stream in July. And I got chastised, why, see, you wait until after, and da-da-da-da. But just like in a race, you have to wait until that right time to move your horse. And sometimes you just have to stick with the plan, win, lose, or draw. A question says, the PMC letter gave suggestion, not rules, so you guys agree with the suggestions. As I said, when the Prime Minister decides to allow us to operate, most retail locations, mothers just closed down recently because they can't operate as a retail location. Our OTBs are retail locations. Our OTBs cannot operate right now.
Well, I think everybody knows that, Solomon. I don't think you need to beat that to death. You know, COVID is COVID. It's a reality. None of us like it. It's causing a lot of dislocation for a lot of businesses. And unfortunately, we are one of them.
Another thing about the whole somebody understanding the plight. We've been trying to work with the horsemen behind the scenes, and every group have been present rather, at every meeting that we have had before. And you know, again, we will meet with them. I probably have a go-to meeting tomorrow, guys, for those of you who are watching, to see how we can really find a way to satisfy racing, get Mr. Berry to agree that, hey, remember, it's the one racetrack we have, so we don't even have a training track like what happens in North America. Churchill Downs just opened their gates. So all those horses were not inside of Churchill Downs property.
Where were they?
They were at training for round in Kentucky.
On farms?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
most of the farms can have a training facility at the farm kind of thing.
Same way, so.
Yeah, but you know, so as I said, I've always said that we have a broken model. Some of the horsemen don't like me to say that, you know, we need to fix it, but we are working to fix it. I just want to tell everybody thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Berry, for giving me some of your valuable time today. And maybe we need to have another one of these soon. We were criticized before for not being more open, but unfortunately we're working behind the scenes to make it work. So thank you, cyberspace. Have a great day.